Remember the grey kit? Remember that grey kit? Not great kit, the grey kit. Kind of black, kind of grey from last Thursday, from just 6 days ago. And then the orange kit from the next day, just the wrong time to announce that, the wrong time for that to come out. The grey kit, the orange kit, and tonight Jack Butland's wearing a grey kit while the rest of the players wear an orange kit just 6 days later, and everything, the bad connotations are now good connotations. Fantastic. It's like today I was out a walk. I went to Morrison's, I shot Morrison's in Anniesland, and it's that way you keep forgetting how dark it's get. It's the first week of the clocks having gone back, so it's going to get darker quicker, so you want to get away early for your work, whatever, if you possibly can. Get out and grab a last minute bit of sunlight, and it was a bit sunny towards kind of tea time today, so I ran outside. I'm going to get myself, I say ran, I mean kind of crawled almost, because I'm so fat and so morbidly obese, and I was walking into Morrison's. I thought I'm going to get myself some salad, and I got myself some cranberry juice. I've never actually drank cranberry juice before. I think I wanted pomegranate juice. It's why I don't really know about fitness stuff. I've just got a rough idea of don't get Coke, don't get Pepsi, don't get Iron Brew, just get something fit. And I went to Morrison's, I was getting tatties for myself to go in my pork chops, and I was getting some salad to go with a bit of tuna. I do have salads with my tuna, a wee bit of John West tuna and a bit of salad tomatoes and cucumber and that. I did do certain fitness kind of things, and I thought I wanted cranberry juice. I don't know, why did I go for cranberry juice? And I thought I saw the Ocean Spray in the shelf, and I was going to get the Ocean Spray because of the Manic Street Preachers song, but the one next to it was Morrison's own brand, and it said no sugar, and I thought, well, it's stinking anyway, it's not what I want to drink, I might as well go for the healthiest one of the two. And I realised what it was that pushed me over the edge was doom scrolling like 2 days ago. I'd seen that scene from the Departed with Martin Scorsese, Departed, Jack Nicholson, and it's Leonardo DiCaprio goes into the bar, and the barman, what you having? I'm going to have a cranberry juice, and then the guy sitting at the local worthy, sitting at the bar's like, what, you get your period? You know, because who's drinking cranberry juice? It's a bar for men. And of course Leonardo DiCaprio cracks the guy across the skull with a glass, and everything ensues. I don't know if that was in the back of my mind to go and get myself some cranberry juice, because I'm no planning to be in a Scorsese film or anything like that. I'm not going to crack him over the head with a glass, but that was just something I thought you can be fit but tough at the same time. So 56-year-old still thinking like that. But I'm walking back for Morrison's, my cranberry juice and my tatties, and that's enough. That's like for me, that's the equivalent of like the SAS yomping with the pack in your back, like I was talking about in the preview pod. And there's a wee hill I've got to go up and cut up, and it goes through a play park. There's a wee play park for the kids, and it's a shortcut up to my house in the way back home. But sometimes I go along there, and it's actually there's kids there, and like a fat bald guy with specs, middle-aged fat baldy guy with specs, wearing a lot of kind of rainwear, a lot of kind of waterproof stuff. It's just, and then you're getting your phone out because I want to check what's I'm sitting there. What I'll do is I'll grab a seat because there's benches on it, and I'm like going up a hill after the walk for most of the way back to the house from Morrison's. Going up a hill at that point in time, I really need a seat before I can make it. The state of me right now, but I don't want to be sitting there and all the parents are starting to go, who's this guy that's sitting that's not got any wains, and he's just suddenly, I'm like, it's a bit dodgy. But it's so late the night, but it was such a sunny night that all the kids had gone home, they were away, it was totally empty, so I could just sit there. And as I'm walking up the hill, it's just grey. I'm looking eastwards, and it's grey, and it's going to start raining again. Really changeable weather this week, and it looks grim, and I'm sweating, and my guts are heaving. I'm like, oh God, it's going to take more than a carton of cranberry just to sort this out. And it's like I see the bench sitting, and I'm going, I can't even be. I should just push on and get myself up the road. And I thought, but no, there's no kids about. You don't have to feel like you're going to be reported to the police and end up in some sort of register. You can actually sit and have a rest. So I'll just do it. What the hell? So I just sat down, and it required me to turn round. And you're looking back down the hill, the way the bench sits, the white faces, and it was still sunny. Over towards the west, it was still sunshine everywhere. It was that kind of low winter sun, but it was glowing. Towards Dumbarton, towards Jordan Hill, Loch Lomond, whatever. I thought, this is absolutely, it's fine. It's good. Just hang in there. Just take the time. Stop. Don't get carried away. Don't push too hard. And you just stop, turn round and have it, and then suddenly everything can look a lot sunnier than it was, a lot brighter than it was. It's not glorious, but you're sitting on a wet bench there, but you've got the waterproof trousers on anyway. But the view is glorious if you just take it a bit easy on yourself after having put in the essential efforts. The bad news, of course, is that we're going to lose the Scottish Cup final to Hibs now, and Jamie O'Hara's going to score the only goal of the game, probably after a dodgy shy that the referee didn't. Somehow VAR will manage to miss it as well. It was a shy to us, and they'll get the shy, and he'll sclaff it in after one of your fallbacks. A bit like the big Tav. Tav was a bit Gary Stevens' '89 Scottish Cup final the night, wasn't he? When he let Hibs in for the penalty. But that's what's going to happen, because Jamie O'Hara, I just, when Jack Butland made that save tonight, I'm just thinking in his grey jersey, and it's got orange trim on it, this one, no the blue trim, the outfield player's grey jersey. But when Jack Butland made that save, I was just thinking, yeah, this is like when I was at Parkhead, and it was April 1989, we hadn't won at Parkhead for 9 years. We're pretty much going to win the league, but this was the game to guarantee, and we played Celtic half the park, first half 2-0 going on 10-0, and my mate and I, who, the last time Rangers had won at Parkhead, I'm like 19 at this point in time, but the last time Rangers had won at Parkhead, I was 10. Alec Miller with the wild volley into the top corner after Davy Provan. Oh, in my house you voted Rangers. No, you voted Rangers and supported Labour, and vice versa. So I decided to support Celtic and vote Conservative, just to be different. Well, that just makes you one of the least liked people in my life, Davy Provan. And he decides to get right up there and stop Willie Johnson being able to take the shy, because he's going right up. Willie Johnson's got a reputation as being a bit violent, whatever. He's just going to get right up there and get right in his face, right in front of the jungle. He's all brave in front of the jungle, Davy Provan for Celtic, and he's going to get right in front of Willie Johnson to make it hard for him to take that shy in the dying minutes, a game that's been drawn one each. So Willie Johnson just pops the ball in Davy Provan's head and then backs off and takes a proper long run up with a shy, and he throws it right onto Alec Miller's foot, who puts it into the top corner, and Rangers win 2-1. There you go, Davy, that'll teach you to support the Rang team and vote for the Rang party. And just remember what your father tell you. But that's it, 2-1 to Rangers that day, but I only watched the highlights of that on Scott Sport the next day. I wasn't going to football regular at that age, but over the next into the 80s, as I'm getting older, I was going to more and more games, and I was going to Parkhead, and we'd draw quite a lot at Parkhead, but we wouldn't win, we'd get beaten. It was there all celebrating. I hated that ground so much. And there we were, 1989, April 89, my mate and I, I'm like 19, he's like 21, and we're winning 2-0 going on foot. And Alan turns to me and he goes, "You know what's going to happen in the second half, don't you? Celtic are going to come out." And I think he said something like they're going to score after 47.5 minutes, and it's going to be backs to the wall for the entire second half. And it was like 47.5 minutes that Andy Walker scored in the second half, and it was backs to the wall for the entire second half. And then Richard Gough gives away that penalty, and you're like, here we go, all these years. We should have thought. It's just the way it's been going our whole life, gone to Parkhead. We're not going to win this game. We're probably still going to win the league, but we're not going to win this game anyway. And I don't know if it even occurred to us that Chris Woods was going to save the penalty, but he did. He did save that penalty. Joe Miller missed that penalty, and it was almost like something that you want so badly, something that you need so badly, that you could almost say, as a supporter, you deserve. You just have to get tested when it arrives. It either arrives like unbelievably easily, suddenly you go, then you win 5-0, or it's you think you've got it, and it gets taken away from you, and then you get it back. You just get it back right at the last, and that's what it felt like when Jack Butland went down to his right tonight to save that right-footed penalty from Jamie O'Hara. 5th minute, Rangers take the lead, only goal of the game. 5 minutes to go, we concede the penalty for Hibs. I think it's actually the second best chance of the game. And Jack Butland, who turns out, I didn't realise, he's saved 6 of the last 7 penalties that he's faced. He'd saved the penalty for Jamie O'Hara a day shy of a year ago, also a midweek game up at Pittodrie where we get beat 2-1. And sorry, we're rebuilding the squad. It's okay, we're rebuilding the squad. And he saved the penalty for Jamie O'Hara that night as well. But we still lost that game 2-1 to Aberdeen, an Aberdeen team that were running away with the league title at that point in time. But he did it again, Super Jack Butland, and I feel as if that was the first time we have kept a clean sheet away from home since, I think it's the 8th of December last year, against beating Ross County 3-0 in Dingwall, when a certain Danilo was on the score sheet. We finally got that clean sheet, folks. We finally got that clean sheet. We finally get back-to-back wins as well. The first time of consecutive wins this season, and it was so hard fought. I couldn't help thinking back to that day that we went through the mill against Celtic at Parkhead, but finally came out there with a victory. But of course, a month later, we're going for the treble. We won the League Cup that season and the league, still on, and we then went to the Scottish Cup final looking for the treble, and we get beat 1-0 at Celtic. Joe Miller, who missed the penalty that day. Chris Wood saved the penalty from Joe Miller at Parkhead, but a month later he gets all sorts. I mean, the decision to give Celtic that bloody throw in. When Celtic fans talk about Masonic conspiracy, you need to tell them about the stuff that remind them of some of the stuff that's happened to us at Hampden in Old Firm semi-finals and finals. But yeah, that was a Celtic got revenge for that one. Joe Miller got revenge, costing us the treble that day. So that's the price we're going to have to pay at the end of the season. That'll keep us all nice and angry during the summer, because we're going to need something to stop us getting the bends with the joy we're going to feel. It's coming by the end of this season, because everything's obviously going to. It's going to turn around. Now, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Back in 1989, you're struggling to remember that. Can I see your ID, please? It's Alec Anderson. Alec Anderson, my Jers inspector. Can I just see your card, please? Can I see your my Jers card? Thank you. Thanks very much. Aye, everything seems to be in order here. Can you just run that through the system, Jim? I'll keep an eye on this. I'll keep an eye on this guy, because we don't want folk just jumping in the bandwagon now. We got a lot. If you've been going to every game, we'll check your my Jers points, and we'll just see what you've been doing this season, maybe last season as well, depending on the nastiness of the things you've been saying about Rangers, supposedly your own club, this season especially. If you've been into you've been advocating boycotts, booing the team off the park and stuff like that. Some folk have got a right to do that. Other folk haven't. If you've been sitting in the sidelines, or even going to the games and sending in comments to a podcast, for example, about how you hate Russell Martin and you want rid of the whole board, but you're stopping short of saying we'll get rid of the owners as well, because you know better, don't you? You know that they're actually going to make us better. That you don't get to celebrate this tonight the same way I do. You don't get to celebrate it the same way I do, the same way other proper, full-on Rangers support. If you're going home and away, I don't go home and away. I only go to the home games. I only go to the games at Hampden. But if you go home and away every week, you've got every right to boo the team and make all the banners that you want. You can just do whatever. If you're buying the 4 kits that we put out every 2 months, and that's fine. You've got the right to boo and to boo. But if you're just sitting moaning all the time, but I hate that Russell Martin because he votes green. I hate that. Just the fact that you go left, you go right. What a difference it makes. The wee guy that missed the chance for Hibs at the start of the second half of the night just lets that ball glance off him an inch to the left, an inch to the right, in it goes, and it's 1 each, and who knows, Hibs could have gone on to win the game at that point in time. But it's just like, the Rangers board, they know that we have been the ones that have been screaming to get a coach in who's good at possession football, because this team, we're playing the counter-attack under Philip Clement, and that's no use in Scotland, because it's the low block. Teams don't. I mean, Falkirk just attacked us something stupid when we played them at Falkirk a few weeks ago. We couldn't get the ball off them. That was the problem. But this is the thing we're screaming for. We want somebody who's good at possession football. When you go to Russell Martin, what is the possession football? So we only decided we wanted somebody pragmatic and somebody who could chop and change the system when we found out it was Russell Martin who Nini's wanted to be manager. But then it was just a amount of campaign of just no, because you did that thing come the end of the season when we win the league and win the League Cup, and just before we lose the Scottish Cup final to Jimmy O'Hara is dodgy goal. You're going to be out there on the streets celebrating that. You're celebrating your loyal. Oh, I'm loyal to Rangers and all that, but you're not really. If you've been booing the team and hating the team and doing all this dodgy stuff to them this season without it being really justified, without you putting the ears in and putting the ears in and stuff like that, well, then you're like one of the folk who's kind of pretending to be drunk on 2 pints, aren't you? I used to work with a woman who was a recovering alcoholic, and she would tell some good stuff for the meeting. I don't think you're supposed to. I think it's supposed to be private stuff at AA meetings, but I didn't know any of the folk, and she would just tell me these stories, and it probably something she'd heard years ago, and that was because I was a teenager at the time, and I was just starting to get into the serious drinking myself, and she was trying to warn me about the dangers of the dreaming drink. But she was saying about I remember her talking about a guy who had said, when I was like 18, when I was like 16, 17, I would have 2 pints and pretend I was sober. And then I got to the stage where I was having like 20 pints and pretending I was drunk. And you'll be pretending you're drunk. You'll be pretending you're drunk on Rangers' success, but you'll know deep down that you haven't really earned it, that you haven't really suffered in the way you're supposed to suffer. Because I'm going to keep talking about this. I know we've won 2 games in a row. We've done it, but I'm going to keep talking about the fact that you've got to suffer. Schopenhauer, where are we now? You've got to go out there and experience it, because there's two kind of. I remember Phil Linnett of Thin Lizzy being on GMTV when I was a boy, because Phil Linnett died, was it 1985, 1986-ish? West Bromwich born, dedicated, just totally loyal to Ireland, loved Ireland, born in West Bromwich, supported Man United like most folk for Ireland, and that was Phil. But Thin Lizzy, all that fantastic band, and Phil Linnett seriously into the drink, and then did a bit of heroin as well, and it eventually killed him. And just before it killed him, he was must have been in a phase of recovery or whatever. He was on GMTV first thing in the morning, and I'm watching this, and Anne Diamond or whoever is asking him, about drugs are evil, and drugs are terrible. You tell us drugs are terrible. And he's like, aye. He says, but they're also really good fun. She says, this was mind blowing to me. He says, but drugs are great. That's the problem. She says, you got all these, the thing with Reagan and that, Nancy Reagan's going, just don't do, just say no. All these kind of campaigns, Grange Hill, just say no, drugs are terrible. But why are so many folk taking them then? Why do if everybody knows they're terrible, why do they take? Because folks' lives are bad, and they want something that just takes all the pain away. Drugs are really good, but unless you're really rich and you can afford to do heroin and cocaine and all that, and you get folk running about you in the money that's going to help you recover from week to week. You can do it in a kind of controlled sort of way. That's right. Most folk, it becomes a total disaster, and the next thing they're robbing off their pals and their family, and their life goes to pot. They just need the drugs, because drugs they make you feel good. Class A substances do make you feel really good. And the other side of that is you've got a kind of self-help guy that I saw on YouTube. Some come up with it, Mark Manson. The secret art of not giving a shit. It's all very ABC, but it's quite. But he was saying how you can control your life is suffering. I think life is suffering. Life is just suffering. If you don't know you're living, if you're no suffering, because he says, so what's the point of it? What's the point? But the whole thing is, you can control the suffering if you can decide when to suffer, how to suffer. For the most part, obviously, there's certain things we can't control that are really bad, and other folk dying and disease and stuff like that. But you see, for example, if you're a massive fat guy, Alec, like 24 stone or something, you can, you suffer just lying in your bed at night because you're starving and you can't get to sleep because you're so fat. Basically, you're kind of uncomfortable, or it's warm. It gets into summer weather, you're sweating all the time, you really have to avoid the heat, or try to get out the motor because it's a bit low slung, your knees are straining at lifting all the weight up. But if you go, starting off obviously with like an early morning walk, and then building up to a jog and all that, and then going running, who can be bothered doing all that kind of stuff? Well, the thing is though, you're deciding to suffer. Getting out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning and going out for a half-hour run, that's horrible. But you've decided to do that. You're controlling it, and then you'll feel better during the day, and you'll get rid of all the other bad feeling. The kind of sweating up in the summer and folk laughing at you in the street and Wayne's pointing at you for hanging about the parks and that kind of thing. That's, you can control the suffering. That's the two. You can do the just getting the drugs that's just uncontrolled enjoyment, and then you can do the hardcore fitness and looking after yourself that's kind of controlled suffering. And then right in the middle of that, right in the middle, right in between the two, is this thing called watching Rangers winning. Watching Rangers winning away from home, watching Rangers in the Walter Smith style. Everybody forgets most games are suffering, especially away from home. It's suffering, and we suffered tonight. It was brutal, but in a beautiful way. It was brutal in a way that it was just great to see again. Here you are, suffering, old friend. 85 minutes, nobody able to get a second goal. Scoring after 5 minutes. Rangers going 1-0 up is the terriblest, worstest thing that can ever happen to a Rangers supporter these days, and we've been 1-0 up forever. We knew as soon as Danilo scores that goal after 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, that's it. We're not getting a second goal until Hibs score, or the game's over. And it was the latter, thankfully. And you're thinking, there's going to be 5 minutes injury time. So you knew as soon as we scored the goal tonight, it's going to be 90 minutes of pain at best. That's the best thing you can hope for. And it was beautiful because we've had nothing so far. What it's been this season has just been nothing. We've got a situation where Majowski scores against Falkirk in the Falkirk Stadium, and although there's a much reduced range of support because we don't get full away ends now. Everybody's got lots of money now. We don't get full away ends now. They used to want us to support to financially support their club, but apparently everybody's got their own support now. Even though it's a much reduced support, they didn't cheer. There was no cheer when we scored. By the time we scored against Falkirk in that game, we'd already proven that it was Russell Martin was going to have to go. It wasn't happening, and it was just like, yeah, you know. So when Falkirk equalised, it was almost like proving a point for us. We're almost cheering Falkirk on as a support. There you go. We knew this guy was garbage. We knew Russell Martin was garbage. It's, when we scored at Livingston, you're just waiting for Livingston. There you go, now they've equalised, that's fine. We can start again now, see what happens at the end of this game. It's just going to Motherwell, getting the goal up, and they're coming back at us. And then games at Ibrox, Dundee, but just they've been terrible under Stephen Presley, League Cup, and last week at Chermiti Hibs. And now they're just playing like they've been doing this for years. They're totally controlling the game. They've got us in their back pocket. We're lucky to get a draw. It's been nothing. It's been suffering. And the worst, which is like you don't even have anything to hold on to. There's nothing you can be scared you're going to lose, like we were from the very outset tonight. How you doing, folks? This is your Fat Ek. Immediate post 7 days ago, Andrew Kavanagh told us that at Rangers, it repeated the fact that at Rangers we want sustained winning and to win sustainably. And obviously you have to get the former before you can really go for the latter, and we have finally achieved the greenest shoot possible of the former. We've got sustained winning. We have won 2 games on the trot. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. Check out Gersnet every Friday night, 9 o'clock, live on the Gersnet YouTube channel, and every Sunday, the flagship show, 9:30 p.m, live on that Gersnet YouTube channel. I'm sponsored by that, and I'm also sponsored by Aaron Sense of Scotland. Aaron Sense of Scotland, from our island to your home, is the tagline of that painful advert. Smelly stuff for ladies, kind of bath salts and talcum powder and the kind of things that they make from Aaron, from all the water and that, and the corries and goat fell and that. And Aaron, Scotland, on the west coast. Aaron, which I grew up seeing from my bedroom window, as I tell folk. It makes it sound like a big, massive bedroom. You just get to see it through all the houses down the front across the harbour and what have you. Smelly stuff for ladies. Of course, Aaron, of which there's a painting, the Isle of Arran. There's a painting of Aaron in my living room here in Glasgow. It used to be linked to Arran. Ardrossan used to be linked to Arran by ferry. The ferry would leave from Ardrossan to go to Arran from my hometown. That's when I grew up, Ardrossan. But now that they've rebuilt that ferry, they made a new one. I don't know if it's broken down again or whatever. It took far too long in the SNP. But it's too big. They've had to move it to Troon. It goes to Troon, to Arran. So that advert is an attack on both my kind of heritage, making fun of the fact that Arran is no longer directly connected transport-wise to my hometown. But it's also my kind of heartbreaking hygiene story from last night about going to Morrison's on Saturday before I'd had a shower. It's having a go at me about that, and it's kind of saying Arran, Arran from our island to your home, but no yours, Alec, no yours. That means you're going to be even smellier than you're already. We can't get our products to you. So that's, for me, Arran. Sense of Arran from our island to your home is actually code for Fat Ek smell. So I don't know why that took so long to get out there. I think I'm just suffering. I'm suffering from what happened tonight. Let's try and get through this one quickly. These people deserve a break. Their ears deserve a break, Alec, and the Rangers have earned it for them. The Knights. So my name's Alec Anderson. Guess who just got back today? Them wild-eyed boys that had been away. Haven't changed, hadn't much to say. But man, I still think them cats are crazy. They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found. I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. Boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. I said the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. The boy B, and no B. Oh, so, yeah, that means man is boy, no B. Oh, I mean, I know these boys, the men are back. The boys are back in town. Rangers are back. My name's Alec Anderson. I'm talking to you immediately after on Sky TV, on my TV, underneath the picture of Aaron that I got for my 40th, an actual original painting. One of the precious things I've got. So many of the other most precious things in my life, framed by the Samsung telly screen in my living room, live on Sky. Rangers winning by 1-0. Rangers away from home, winning by 1-0 at Easter Road against Hibs in tonight's SPFL Premiership. Fixtures, it's just their first kind of away clean sheet in 26 games. Were back-to-back wins for the first time this season. Hibs lose at home domestically for the first time this calendar year. It's their first failure to score, and it's an SPFL Premiership match or a home match. I couldn't really care less, but it's a first failure to score in 23 games. Some sort of run of 22 games came to an end tonight because we kept them at 0. We are now in third place. We're clear into third place. We've leaped over Hibs, and the other results kind of went our way in that respect. But now clear third. We can see our targets there ahead of us. There's nothing kind of getting in the way. Danny Röhl has won a home win. He's got a home win. He won a home win. He won a home win on Sunday against Kilmarnock, and Nous won an away win against Hibs. We're third, and he's just got the whole kind of, it's just the two teams in front of Celtic, and 5 minutes in we scored the goal. 5 minutes to go, we conceded the penalty. It's great. It's just nice. It's just lovely. Rangers are winning. And they're winning away from home, and they're winning consecutive games, and things are getting a bit more normal, and it was absolutely brutal to watch. Snagging list from my last podcast, from the preview pod. I forgot to mention the fact that Hibs haven't lost at home in the league, domestically, in the calendar year of 2025, because I didn't really know. I hadn't paid attention to it. My God, you need to be deaf if you were watching Sky Sports the night. No subtitles on, and be deaf if to know that it's been the entire calendar year. They kept repeating it, and it makes you balk when you think about that. It's quite a record we're up against tonight. It's probably as well. I didn't really know it when I was talking the preview pod. I'd have been more depressed about the game. I also didn't realise I'd completely forgotten, because of the utter depression being showered upon Rangers, mostly by Rangers supporters, over the last 2 or 3 months. The fact that Rangers haven't lost an away league game since Boxing Day. Since Boxing Day 2024, that game we lost at St Mirren. So basically, we haven't, all calendar year, we haven't lost an away league game. So something had to give. Something had to give tonight. No, it could just have been a draw. It was actually screaming that it was going to be a draw. And for most of the game, it was screaming that it was going to be a draw. And I also forgot to mention the snagging list item continues. The snagging list is getting longer and longer for the preview pod. I forgot to mention the simple fact that Hibs also play with 3 at the back. That's what saved them. That's what saved David Gray and propelled them up the league last season. Turned them into the team they are. That and the money they're getting for the guy who owns Bournemouth and several other football teams, but they also play with 3 at the back. So maybe we should, when I was doing my predicted team last night, and I was saying we should play Chermiti up front, maybe with Danilo again, kind of in the supporting role. I should probably have said Majowski, because I've also been talking this season about how Majowski's perhaps struggling a bit at Rangers because he doesn't get that space to run into that he had against him. Maybe there's more space when it's 3 up. So I should probably have mentioned that, but turns out it didn't matter anyway. Sky coverage was all about Martin O'Neill, about half an hour about Martin O'Neill. And I don't want to say, I said a bit about Martin O'Neill, and I don't like being kind of hateful or petty, whatever way you want to look at it. And it's most Celtic fans, because that's fine. A Rangers supporter really doesn't like Martin O'Neill, so that's good. Martin O'Neill's doing a job. It's no way connected, says the Rangers supporter, to the fact that he won lots of trophies when he was Celtic manager. But I was saying I didn't like him, but I couldn't help laughing tonight when Chris Sutton is standing over in the Hibs kind of main stand, and that wee corner between the main stand and the famous 5 stand, and the famous 5, between the famous 5 stand and the East stand at Easter Road, they've got the big kind of jumbotron screen in the background, and it's putting up various adverts for various things. And at one point they were asking about Rodgers, and they're talking to Chris Sutton behind them. It was just because, I don't mean this in a bad way, it's quite, the whole screen goes red. It's totally red. It's an advert for pest control, some pest control from Rent-A-Kill or something like that. And the whole screen goes red, and then there's a wee rat comes in at the kind of silhouette of a rodent. No, it's animated, and it's coming in at the corner. It's like sneaking in just to kind of tell you, oh, rats, nah, if you want us to come out, if you've got a problem with rodents in your house or your workplace, whatever, phone us, we're the guys to get in touch. But I just thought it was quite fun. It was Chris Sutton, he's talking about Martin O'Neill. I mean, Celtic fans out there would think, Brendan Rodgers is a total rat, I just thought it was quite, it's getting towards the All Firm game at the weekend. Everybody's getting too excited, but it was mostly about that. We did do a quick bio of Danny Röhl, our new head coach, and interviewing all sorts of people from Sheffield and from Germany, and it was great. Everybody was just saying, including Josh Windus, just saying the guy's great. And they cut to the goal that Josh Windus scored for Sheffield Wednesday from inside his own half at Hillsborough. He's punched at the full length of the park, and thinking if he's teaching him how to do that. And I think the ever funny Chris Sutton did say something about that. Or was it Chris Boyd? The banter's just electric between the two of them, so I can't work out what they're like double acts, inseparable at times. And it's, Danny Röhl's taught him how to do that. That's different. It was Boyd, wasn't it? It was Boyd. That's fantastic. Josh Windus. I don't remember him doing that in Scotland. Aye, but it was. Said to Danny Röhl, give us 3 words. The Sky interviewer says, give us 3 words that we use to describe yourself. Now, I think he's misheard, and he's thinking to describe my football. Because he's a very modest guy, Danny Röhl, very self-effacing. But those 3 words, he said, were brave, flexible, and aggressive. Maybe he's a bit of a gymnast. That's the flexible thing. He's talking about, maybe he's into yoga and what have you, but he's brave, flexible, and aggressive. And that's what we were tonight. I feel as if that's what we were tonight. Very flexible, very brave, very aggressive. Quite a really, really pragmatic performance from Rangers tonight. It was 5 massive changes to the squad. I'm just sitting down, just finished my dinner, and I'm sitting down with the pork chops and the tatties, a wee bit of cranberry juice, and up it comes the team doing the left-hand side of the screen the way they do it on Sky, and I'm like, I'm going to go, right, I recognise these names, but something's not, and it was actually Pujkor who presents it on Sky, the woman, what's her name, that's terrible, but she's like, no James Tavernier. I'm like, Christ, that's right, that's what it is, there's no Tav. He dropped James Tavernier. He dropped Asgard to the bench, Diamande, who'd just come back into the team, but he was just kind of been injured at the weekend, but he was on the bench. No Gisama, and no Majowski. So it's quite bold stuff. And when they're interviewing Danny Röhl before the game kicked off in the tunnel east of the road, he's saying, well, it's kind of mumbling something about resting people, cause basically squad rotation, because there's a busy schedule we've got just now. Massive game coming up on Sunday, massiver game arguably coming up the following Thursday, and it's a massive game tonight as well, given Hibs records and what we need to do. But it's kind of like I'm resting folk for that, and also I just want to see the squad. I want to see, I want to look at all the players. I'm thinking, Jesus, that was good. Ant-Man, was Ant-Man in the squad? I don't think Ant-Man was even in the squad. I don't know what's happening there. Is he unfit or whatever? I maybe missed that one out. But that was, that's pretty bold. That's pretty brave, flexible, and quite aggressive as well. I'm thinking, I hope it's not going to be another week. Squad rotation is going to become the thing. We've had the guy who refused to change his style and then eventually did change his style in Russell Martin. And now we've got a guy who's just going to refuse to pick out the same team 2 weeks in a row. We've had problems with managers. We've had all sorts of problems with all sorts of managers in the last 2 minutes of Rangers. But out we went there in the all-orange kit. The 4th kit is boufing to look at, as the timing of the reveal of it, the announcement of it has been our 4th kit, was absolutely boufing. Last Friday, the day after that horror show in Norway. I don't even like it when the Dutch have had to go all orange. UEFA and FIFA especially, have got into this whole kind of self-coloured thing when it comes to kits. They're ruining international football kits. The Germans wearing all white at times, and they've had Spain wearing all red. Horrible. You've got to get the blue shorts out with the Spain thing to offset. The Germans have got to go white, black, white. With the top shorts and socks, but the Dutch in all orange. They've played 4 major finals altogether. The Dutch haven't the World Cup final in 78 and 74. I think it was white shorts in 74 and black shorts in 78. Playing the hosts and losing to the hosts in both those finals, West Germany and Argentina. But then they played the 2010 World Cup final against Spain. They played that wearing all orange. Of course, they won the only time they reached the final of the Euros, and they won it in 1988 they played the Soviet Union wearing all orange. And it's iconic because the players in that kit and because the goal that Van Basten scored in the Olympic Stadium in Munich. But it just feels as if all orange is boufing even on the Dutch. But it's boufing to look at as the time of its reveal. But I don't even like it in the Dutch. But you're thinking Rangers wearing all orange, and they're at an all green stadium, and they're on a green pitch, and all the supporters run about, the vast majority are wearing green. And then you're up against Hibs, and you're playing, it's like Hibernian. Their name's Hibernian. It's Ireland. The Emerald Isle. The connotations, apart from anything else, you think it's just going to look like a flag of Ireland. Green, but there's something about the white shorts and the white sleeves of the Hibs kit, and just how orange that Rangers kit was tonight. And it's orange top, orange shorts, orange socks. It gave the impression of a flag of India. The Indian flag, the Indian national flag. I don't know why, because it's the same kind of colours as the tricolour, the flag of Ireland. But for some reason, I was just like, this is really, I don't know why it's done that. Because I remember the 2000 Scottish Cup final, the Orange Cup final. We beat Aberdeen 4-0, and we were celebrating. We were celebrating Dick Advocaat, a treble, then a double. We're celebrating his arrival and all the Dutch players. His time in Scottish football as manager of Rangers, by everybody wearing orange, as much orange as possible. I was at that one. It was a great day, that. And I just say, but the thing is, if we played Celtic, if we tried to do the same thing against Celtic, they should just make sure, the Celtic supporters just make sure that the whole Celtic end is everybody's wearing green. No green, white hoops, just all green. And everybody in the North Stand, their half of the North Stand, everybody there, the Celtic fans, just wear all white. And they would end up, it would look like the massive flag. Because I know the orange in the flag of Ireland is representing the Protestants in the north, because it's a way of saying peace. The white is the peace between us, and the green is the kind of, whatever, Catholic or just natives of Ireland. I don't know what it's trying to say. But it's supposed to be peaceful, but they should have done that. So I'm up for the fact that Rangers wearing an all orange kit opens us up to looking like we are the old Parkhead main stands, where it had the orange seats as well as green and white, because that was a flag of Ireland. But it didn't. It just looked like an Indian, just looked like a big Indian flag is what I was looking at that game tonight. Usually I'm trying to avoid getting to the point of the game because it's Rangers have done badly. It's been painful to. This was painful to watch though, even though we ended up getting a very significant win. 26 top flight visits to Easter Road without a loss for Rangers. 2006, Paul Le Guen, Siebel scoring the goal. So Crocker was telling us, I think I can remember it, but not enough. Not enough. So yeah, what was the formation we played? We went out there. It was Jack Butland in goals. We had other stuff happening. What did we have? We had Max Aarons at right wing back, with Meghoma at left wing back, Jaden Meghoma. It was Nasser Djiga comes back into the team. Everybody kind of writing him off, but he was back in the team alongside John Suter and Derek Cornelius, so the three centre halves. With Meghoma, the three at the back again, the two wing backs. We had Connor Barron sitting alongside, or mostly sitting alongside, Nico Raskin, and then the little kind of arrowhead thing up front. You've got Chermiti, big Youssef Chermiti, who I wanted to start, and he did start. And off him to the left was Mikey Moore, and to the right it was Danilo. So it's Mikey Moore who ended the game against Kilmarnock. On he comes. It's massive changes, and I think so it's a five. When we're defending, I would say it's actually more like a 5-1-3-1 almost, because Chermiti goes up there on his own, and Raskin sits more than anybody else. He sits in there more than anybody else in midfield, and Connor Barron kind of pushes off him and goes up to support. That would be Mikey Moore and Danilo in this instance. But it's like a 3-4-2-1 you would describe it as. I think that's more 3-4-3 it's been described as in some places, but it's probably a 3-4-2-1. It's probably the best way to describe the formation that we were playing in. So it's a slight variation on the kind of straight. What was that? So it was a 5-2-3. No, anyway, so a slight variation in what we did on Sunday. In the first minute, John Suter hits John Beaton, the referee, with the ball. He's trying to play it up to Rangers. He's in his own half. John Suter, he's obviously trying to hit a Rangers midfielder, and right about the centre circle, he hits John Beaton instead. John Beaton, can you get yourself out the way? So he gives a drop ball, one of the drop balls. It doesn't want to be an actual contested drop ball. Hang on, I'll just do the right thing here. And he gives it to Hibs. He just throws the ball to the nearest Hibs player who's just inside his own half. So it's like he's turned a Rangers forward ball into an attack from Hibs. That's the first minute. The second minute, Hibs win a corner, the 4th minute, Hibs counter us, the kind of in the wide open spaces on our right hand side. It's quite terrifying how much space we had opened on our right hand side. Jack Burton makes a great save, and in the 5th minute we score. The only goal of the game it turned out it was going to be, and it's Jaden Meghoma who had a great first 20 minutes out wide on the left. Young fella on loan from Brentford, born in Slough. Say no more. He's built up. He's getting mixed reviews at Rangers, but since he's been pushed out, we saw him getting exposed terribly against Brandbergen last Thursday, and it's obviously something that Danny Röhl's come in and instantly diagnosed after seeing that performance or non-performance in Norway, and he's done that thing where he's protecting the centre halves, but also protecting the wing backs. The full backs are becoming wing backs, so it's kind of they're both. The whole defence is insulating itself, and it's also an attacking option. But he's done well in this formation in these 2 games, against Kilmarnock on Sunday, and then for the first 20 odd minutes tonight. And Jaden Meghoma goes up there. Hibs are trying to clear the ball, but we're pressing them high. Gegen press, we're going against the press. We're pressing the press, and it's just a night of counter pressing. It was really high stakes poker, the way they were playing it. Everybody's terrified of getting countered in this game. Both teams very similar in their attitude, very similar in their formations, very similar in their game plan. But Rangers go up there, 5th minute, Meghoma shuts down a Hibs attempt to put the ball up the wing. Yeah, I think it's going to be the what's the guy's name? Chris Cadden, the one that's in the right hand side for Hibs. Meghoma gets to the ball first, cuts it out and knocks it in. It just kind of comes off him and goes into Chermiti, who's at the edge of the Hibs box, kind of down the inside left channel, and he just takes the ball in a few strides, drags a bit of the Hibs defence with him, and then cuts it back for Danilo. Really, it's a ball back to the D, basically. D for Danilo. And it's kind of behind Danilo. You're thinking, that could be a better ball. We could just have walked onto that and had a shot. Danilo, oh no. He takes it in his studs. Danilo, he kind of controls it with his studs, and then he rolls it forward. And he rolls it forward just to kind of keep himself ahead of the game in front of the kind of backtracking Hibs defence. But the 2 centre-halves, it was Hanley and somebody else, whatever it is, Rocky Bashiri or whatever. There's 2 centre-halves between Danilo and the goal, and he hits this shot which is kind of like it goes up and it goes between the 2 extended legs of the Hibs centre-halves going across each other, and he just gets enough on it. It's a half dink, half volley, no, third dink, third volley, third chip. It's clipped, it's truncated, it's just it's beautifully hit. Curling as well at the same time through the 2 centre-halves and then into the bottom right-hand corner. The goalkeeper's going for it, Salinger, the goalkeeper is going for it, but he's no catching that one. The Salinger catch on the eye. I'm trying to get a pun in there. I don't really know if there's one I can work, but it's a fantastic finish. It's a beautiful goal, and I'm usually raging at Danilo, or have been raging at Danilo anytime he gets a game for us, because he doesn't put his foot through the ball. He's not hitting the thing hard enough, and there he was on Sunday. I slagged him for doing it in the first half. Second half, he scores a header of such amazing delicacy and accuracy, while he's fallen backwards, that I think the goalkeeper must be at fault. Give me some kudos. Give me a break. The Kilmarnock goalkeeper was at fault for various things in that game, so I can't really be blamed for thinking that. But it was a beautiful header he had against Kilmarnock, in off the post, and this was another amazingly subtle finish. He's hitting the ball slowly. He's not putting his foot through the ball because he's an artist. He's not going to do anything as vulgar as slamming that thing. And if he had, it would probably just have bounced off somebody, or bounced off the post of the bar, or off the goalkeeper's face or something. He's placing that thing to perfection. It's such a cool, such an elegance about him. It reminded me of when Prince did "If I Was Your Girlfriend" on Oprah Winfrey back in the mid-90s. He's on Oprah's shows at Chicago in the studios, and this did the wee thing where it was a truncated version of "If I Was Your Girlfriend." I don't know if Oprah's not going to have a house band. She does have a house band, does she? No, but it wasn't Prince's new power generation or whatever. And Prince is he's been on Oprah, he's been doing the chat and all that, and they obviously do that thing. We'll be back after the break, and during the break, they're just saying to the guys behind, clear the set, get the couches, get the sofas out of the way. And Prince is going to be clean that floor, but don't clean it too much because he's going to end up breaking his ankle or something like that. And Prince, like Jamiroquai, James Brown, he's right in the middle there in terms of the dancing. He's phenomenal. What a mover Prince was, as well as being one of the greatest musical artists of all time. And he goes up there, It's phenomenal. He's wearing like all white, and it's Cuban heels that are so high they're like stilettos. And because you know what the song's supposed to be, because you know kind of how sexy it is, and it's graphic or whatever. But he only does the first verse and the chorus once because it's on Oprah. It's daytime television. There's a lot of white, middle-aged conservative women in that audience, but they are out there fucking seating. They are going absolutely mental because it's a really subtle performance of. It's almost like a Las Vegas set. He's like doing a medley, but he's only done the "If I Was Your Girlfriend" bit of the medley. It's one of my favourite songs of all time. "If I Was Your Girlfriend." In fact, before I heard the Manics and Radiohead and Portishead, I did declare. I do declare, and I think my late teens, that "If I Was Your Girlfriend" was my favourite song of all time. I'm always doing the all time thing of all time, even though I won't live for all time. But even within my own life, I'm only like 5 years old and I'm making these declarations. But it all sounds quite impressive. Of all time, it's the greatest song of all time. But if Britty's up there and he's got this kind of all white outfit and he's just sliding across the stage, and that's what it was. That's what it was for Danilo. It was that kind of. It's no the glamorously thwacked volley that you're looking for, and it's no part of a Rangers team that's doing really well just now. And it's not going to be a goal. Maybe it's going to win us the league. It's not going to be a 3-0 victory at Easter Road, but it's enough. It's what you need, and it's almost sexier because it's reminding you. It's just a little hint. It's like not naked, just wearing something. But I'm getting a bit. It's talking about Prince. It just makes me a bit silly, but it was a phenomenal goal, phenomenal finish, and so that was McGrath. Connor Barron, 9th minute, refusing to kind of give up the ball. He had a couple of wee incidents, Connor Barron, tonight, where he was kind of reprising his European destroyer role, destroyer to creator role. A kind of light, very, very light version of that Rangers midfield three that I loved so much. I think they played maybe 5 times together in total. I think 2 of the times were at Easter Road, but it was Steve Davis, Glenn Kamara and Ryan Jack. No Connor Barron's anywhere like any of them, but just that way of get it and get it forward, get it and get it forward in one action, stop them coming out, get them back in their own box. He did a bit of that. It went off to Mikey Moore, who turned it a great shot, corner to us, saving it. Connor, I'm not James Tavernier. Barron started taking the corner and a few other set pieces as well. 11th minute, Meghoma destroys Cadden down the left hand side, and Chris Cadden gets booked for having to pull back. Meghoma in the 20th minute, Hibs break. We're wide open in the right hand side again, but Djiga goes in. A fantastic tackle. Was it Kiliji? The young fella's name is, very speed merchant for Hibs. I think he scored a few goals against Aberdeen. And both goals, or one of the goals against Aberdeen on Sunday up at Pataudry, and their win up there. So he's going through on goal. You're thinking, here we go. But great tackle from Djiga. We keep the ball for the next kind of like minute or so. But in the 23rd minute, Hibs take off Chris Cadden for Chaiwa. Chaiwa comes on for Chris Cadden, but they put on. He's not injured or anything, Chris Cadden. He's booked, and Meghoma is giving them an absolute nightmare. Down our left hand side, most of the creative stuff is coming from Meghoma, it has to be said. He's really kind of the fulcrum of the team at that point in time. But he starts, they bring on Chaiwa, but he goes over the other side of the park, and they bring Josh Mulligan across to right wing back to look after Meghoma. And within seconds of that change, he puts the boot in kind of as soon as possible on Meghoma, getting really physical on him. He pushes him after the ball was going to play the first tackle that he's won, Josh Mulligan. It's just obviously deliberately taken notice, acting under orders, just to wind up this young man, to test him out. But he also keeps him occupied. He also keeps Meghoma occupied by starting to pile forward as well, so Megoma's got to chase him. David Gray did this. I don't know if he did it with substitutions, but he certainly did it. So it saved his job generally. Hibs was just a kind of acting radically, and he might have done it. I think he's done it before against us anyway. And it might have been that 3-3 game back at the start of January, Hibs' first home game of 2025. I mean, they lost 3 times in Europe this season already at Easter Road. And we've lost 3 times in Europe at home this calendar year as well. But anyway, a great domestic home record. But we started really well. We got a couple of quick goals, didn't we? Eggman gets a hat-trick in that game back in the 5th of January. I think it was the 5th of January. And David Gray decides to just give us the ball. I think he changed it tactically. He might have made an early substitution, a first half substitution, but he definitely changed it tactically and just start giving Rangers the ball, let them have the ball because they're hitting us in the counter attack. And that kind of, I don't know, it's a bold decision, and he's done it again tonight. And 6 minutes later, Meghoma gets booked. It's a battle of two teams playing three at the back and needing their wing backs to kind of dominate. And it's working for Hibs now. This plan is working for Hibs. He's turned it round. So from the foul that Meghoma gets booked on Mulligan, Butland makes a save from Grant Hanley. It's kind of at the back post. The back, and it's there's another corner to Hibs, and it's snuffed out eventually. But you're worrying that this is Hibs turning it around. The substitution has transformed Hibs, and we're going to push back much more. There's a few misplaced passes from us as well, because Rangers 1-0 up. Rangers being 1-0 up is a nightmare, especially this season, but it's been for a few years. I keep talking about it. Rangers being 1-0 up is the worst thing that can happen to a Rangers supporter. Even if Hibs are the only top flight SPFL side we've actually gone 2-0 up on all season so far. When we did in the League Cup quarter final at Ibrox, but it's 1-0 to Rangers, and we just never go 2-0 up, especially in the league. Cornelius is kind of Hail Marying it to Chermiti up top, but in the 37th minute in his own half, Chermiti's taken late by Grant Hanley after a beautiful layoff from the big fella, and Hanley gets booked. Something keep happening, Rangers. Go for Hanley. Mikey Moore's got the skills. He's doing better in this kind of tucked in role that he's got, not playing out wide as he was under Russell Martin. He's got the moves again. Get it to Hanley, take him to the cleaners, wee man, get him sent off or whatever. But Chermiti has been the scapegoat for booing the team. He's useless. He's what a crap purchase. Chermiti is not even worth talking about. Then he becomes the kind of totem for the slagging of Kevin Thelwell and his signing policy, and even the very notion of having a sporting director. We've decided we don't want that either. But I think tonight he ended up becoming the kind of focus, the fulcrum of the team, the kind of centrifuge almost of our attacking and our defending simultaneously. It was an out ball, and I've seen him getting slagged online for his performance tonight. I thought Chermiti was great. I thought he was arguably our man of the match. Just going to throw that out there. He wasn't tidy, far from the finished product, but he was. I think he did really well. Derek Cornelius in the 40th minute loses out to Bowie as he goes into the Hibs half. Derek Cornelius, and he gets fouled. He fouls Bowie because he's lost the ball. I think he's a bit kind of been a bit carnaptious. He's been a bit petty at losing the ball. But I think mostly what it is this game of, it's almost cat and mouse. And we've already talked about rats, but it's a game of cat and mouse where it's all about counter-attacks. And you can see the Rangers players are being instructed to don't let Hibs, if you lose possession, shut it down. If you've got to foul somebody, if you can get away with the foul, if you just take a booking, or not even a booking, do it. Just do it. Don't let MD Gegan our press. So you got incidents where, Derek Cornelius is fouling Bowie there, but lots of incidents with us blocking the Hibs goalkeeper when we don't win the ball at a corner in the Hibs box and the goalie catches it, and it's like Connor Barron especially running in front of the goalie, not letting them get the counter attack on us. We don't want to get turned. But kind of 46 to 47 minutes, because it's 1 minute of injury time at the end of the first half, goes on. It's just at the end of that first minute of injury time, Hibs got a foul. Kieran Bowie is cheating. He's trying to turn kind of 1 minute of injury time into two, but he's obviously trying to get the equaliser for Hibs as well. He gets in front of Meghoma just as Jaden is ushering the ball out down at that corner towards the main stand, but then it's basically right in front of the smaller Rangers away support. Isn't it great how these Edinburgh teams are suddenly, they don't need us since they've stopped yo-yoing. Since we yoed in 2012, I think when we first come back into top flight, we're still getting the whole away end on occasion. But did it happen when we beat Hibs in the playoffs? In 2014-15, the second leg of the playoff, I think we got Easter Road, we only got half that away end. We used to get the whole stand, and we're getting even less than that now. Same at Tynecastle. Wasn't that when they were yo-yoing for decades, so the 70s and the 80s, that for the second flight up to the top flight, and every time we played them, they were, please take our entire away end. And it's an open death trap, unprotected from the elements. But it's just a wee bit of bitterness there from your old father. Down at that bit, Bowie gets right and just gets in front of Meghoma as he's trying to usher the ball out of play. And I need to watch it back because I was so appalled by Bowie taking a touch to the chest. I mean, Meghoma just puts his hand out, doesn't even know he's behind him, and touches him in the chest, and Bowie just immediately kind of goes down, poleaxed. He's punched me in the face, sort of way. It's quite disgusting, and it's right in front of a linesman It's a foul to Hibs, of course. Maybe it was a foul to Hibs, but I've just been distracted by the pretending to be hit in the face thing. But it's right, the linesman's right there. He's standing right there. Can we at least get Bowie booked for a play acting, for trying to get a fellow pro sent off? And I can't be angry at Meghoma for just wanting to question the decision of beating and the linesman, but he's on a booking. And yeah, Hibs, I've done a number on the man who was doing a number on them in the first 20 minutes. When Danny Röhl is sacked, maybe we should look at David Gray. No, but Hibs do nothing with the free kick. The man in grey, Jack Butland, just pulls it out of the air. But we go in at half time needing to sub Meghoma. Having said that though, Danny Röhl's 3 half times so far as Rangers head coach, we've gone in losing in Norway. We've gone in drawing half time on Sunday at Ibrox with Kilmarnock, and this is us now going in winning at Easter Road. Small steps, as the man said. Half time, 2 massive changes. Tav and Gassama come on for Meghoma and Danilo. I think it's a cup semi-final ahead in the latter case, but bookings in the case of the former. Max Arians goes over to left back, Tav goes to left wing back, Tav goes to right wing back, and there's that moment right in the very first kind of few minutes of the second half where Chaiwa gets down the right-hand side and he beats Derek Cornelius far too easily from my likings. He drives into the edge of the box, hits the byline, and he puts it across the goal in such a way that any touch at all, he actually hits, I'm sure he hits Kalidji, the young fella, speed merchant up front for Hibs. He hits him. And if he just let the ball hit off him, it would just go into the net because he's basically is facing open goal. There's open goal right in front of him because Jack Butland has come to the near post. And I think it's maybe Nasser Djiga is also going to that near post. And not only does it hit off Kalidji in such a way that it goes to go past the post, but it manages to go between Jack Butland and Djiga and out for a by kick because had it hit either of them, it's so close and the ball was travelling so fast from the cross that it's just going to end up deflecting into the net for an early equaliser for Hibs. But that was the only moment really that they came that close to scoring until the penalty. But for the first 20 minutes, I would say, of that second half, it's end to end. There's histrionics, there's injuries, there's corners at both ends. Tav straight back to taking all of our set pieces. We keep fouling to stop counter attacks, as I was saying. Chermiti, I think, is particularly good. That's when he can't get past his guy, he just brings him down. If he loses the ball, he brings it down, as well as holding it up front. I'm probably imagining. I was so determined. I made this point the other day where I thought, if Chermiti can get a goal, this is 2 days before the game against Kilmarnock. If Chermiti, who's taken such a slagging, does get a goal, let's just wait and see what happens. After that, it might loosen him up, and him getting a goal could have a great effect for the entire team. And then he gets the goal against Kilmarnock, and I'm thinking, let's just see what happens. Well, that's Danilo. Danny Röhl's come in. He brings in Danilo, who's scored 2 goals, a goal in each of the 2 games since he come back in, and Chermiti's got a goal and an assist now. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trying too hard to see a success story there, to see him turning it round, Chermiti, but I was quite enjoying the big fella's display tonight. But the game still managed to have draw written all over. This moment where Mikey Moore just puts his hand on the chest of the Hibs goalkeeper, literally just touches his chest, and Mikey Moore's tiny and the Hibs goalkeeper's huge, and the Hibs goalie does that thing of not only just hitting the deck spectacularly like he's been punched with a knife, but he also manages to throw his studs out, throw his feet out in a way that's going to kind of take the face off somebody as goalies are wont to do. That's what's been happening for the first 20 minutes of the second half. This game still, even though it still has draw written all over it, it looks like Hibs are going to they've almost got to equalise. And it's Celtic and Hearts. Celtic are running away with it against Falkirk. They're beating them 3-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0. And then, Sky are updating you with the scores. And Hearts are getting beat off St Mirren, then they're kind of drawing with St Mirren, and it's back and forth there. You're thinking, well, Hearts are maybe going to drop out of this. Celtic, it's more important than ever that we keep up with them. We match whatever they do tonight. We need to hang on here for the win. Don't want to fall further behind them. But I thought Big Chermiti was kind of filling, he's winning the ball everywhere from the halfway line to inside his own box, and he was turning and laying it off, and looking like the rust is starting to kind of fall off a big shiny prize. This is this is a revival that a reveal, sorry, not like the fourth kit. This is a reveal that we do want, but we're not really looking like scoring a second goal. A blocked Conor Barron shot after he drove in from like the halfway line almost, just before the hour mark. That's about the best we manage. I'm disappointed in Gassama. He's not really doing much, and we're missing Meghoma's the first 20 minutes. Jaden Meghoma from the first half. 64th minute, Hibs have a triple substitution. They bring on Hoylett, Yuan, and Martin. I always score against Rangers. Boyle, and as a Hibs player's getting treated on the deck for headbutting John Souttar's elbow, we bring on Asgard for Mikey Moore. It's kind of the 70th to the 74th minute. Chermiti wins a free kick outside the box after about 2 minutes of patient possession, but there's no penetration from Rangers at all. Tav gets the free kick onto the head of somebody, a Rangers player in the Hibs box, heads it across the goal. There's no takers. Another corner to Rangers. We can't win the corner. Hibs can't clear it properly. Throw in to us. There's much possession again from Rangers, but I'm just waiting for the Hibs break. Much possession with it's not really going anywhere. It's more like we're defending by having the ball as close to Hibs box as we can possibly manage it. But I'm just waiting for the Hibs counter-attack and the Boyle equaliser, because we don't keep clean sheets away from home. 25 games so far without managing that, and Hibs don't lose at home. It's going to happen. 77th minute, Majowski comes on for Chermiti. So we're losing the big man's hold-up play, which has been so vital, and we start to fall out of it even more. When that happens, it lets Hibs begin to kind of threaten more. The three up front, Arrowhead has changed totally now. It's Asgard on the left hand side, Gassam on the right hand side, and Bojan Majowski as the tip. The 80th minute, Raskin just cruising down the middle, picks out Majowski with a great ball in the box. He's kind of halfway between the penalty spot and the 6 yard line, but he's kind of over to the left hand side. He can't even get his shot away. He should be hitting that first time. It's quite, maybe the big man is having a serious loss of confidence, Majowski, but it was terrible. But it also, I didn't feel so much like outrage at him not being able to just perform the most basic duty of a striker to get his shot away. I just thought, yeah, this is the way this is going. There's no way we're going to get a second goal. It was murder. It was torture. This is torture. It makes you feel alive, though, when you're being tortured. You know you're alive. And in the 85th minute, Tav fucks it up. The ball kind of comes to him, Tav. The ball squirms through to him as Hibs are trying to attack. And he's right at the corner of the box, as where a right back would be. And he tries to control the ball, take a touch, to get it under control, to make sure he's not just kind of lashing out at it, to clear it properly, to try and instigate an attack as well. But he slips, and I think he slips under pressure as much as through bad footing, because he knows Hibs players are closing in on him. And that is Junior Hoylett picks it up, he drives into our box, and just as he gets about a yard inside the box, Conor Barron, who is obviously panicked seeing what Tav has done, goes in there really clumsily, just with the basic intention of bringing him down. It is a penalty. He got into him from behind, does Conor Barron, brings him down, and that's it. So it's about to be. And the thing is, it didn't occur to me that Jack Butland might save it. Yep. That's just, I've been waiting for it. I was so kind of determined that I was going to see a goal scored by Hibs. I wasn't best pleased, said a few things, but it was more about the helplessness, because I've been saying all second half, we need another goal. Hibs are going to equalise. This has got draw written all over it. And here it was. And the one thing I did actually say to myself at this point in time was, I said, why the fuck couldn't Hibs just get their penalty in the 65th minute? Why has it always got to be so close to the end of the game? And I think, no. And I was like, no, Alec, this is all in my own head. I'm saying this. It's better this way, because if Hibs had equalised earlier on, this would be the winner. They're about to score. So, be a bit more mature about this. And then Jack Butland just saved the thing. Jack Butland saves it, Parkhead, 1989. And I couldn't even cheer, because I was sort of open-jawed. And then they said that it's the 6 out of 7 penalties that Jack Butland has now saved for Rangers. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I didn't even know he was that good. I had a real problem with Jack Butland. Not just because of the mistakes. It's well documented, the mistakes he was making, especially last season as Rangers goalkeeper. But he had that whole thing, as I say, where he was basically interviewing the directors after his first season at Rangers, which wasn't perfect either. But he's interviewing the directors saying, tell me why I need to come and sign a new contract. Why should I come back to Rangers next season? You know, I've got offers to go elsewhere. I think this kind of got out. I think he maybe talked about it himself. It was on a flight somewhere, a flight to some pre-season game or something. He's going around the plane, talking to the various directors, see what they can persuade him to stay. And in the way he talks, it's very kind of Clive Woodward 2003 England World Cup winning rugby union side, you know, kind of Vince Lombardi-isms and that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's not something I like. It's not something I enjoy in life. It's that kind of. He's probably totally working class, Jack Butland. He just sounds a bit private school rugby player who has got everything, all the creature comforts in the world. That's the reason he's set up in life. But they do this thing of kind of justifying to themselves that they need to be hard, need to be tough. And if you've got a lot of maxims, if you've got a lot, you know, prepare to fail to prepare, then that's what makes them better than others. It's the privilege. And Jack Butland might be a super working class guy who's a really hard life, and he's just got an accent that makes him sound a bit kind of posh. But I swore I would never slag him again after what he did in Bruges this season, stopping that going 10, 11, 12 nothing to Club Bruges, and he's done it again. The big man, he's absolutely saved us. So there's a huge delay after that. Just after we save the penalty, Derek Cornelius takes the corner that it results from. That ends up with Hibs having a shot. Somebody drives the ball really hard from the edge of the box, hits Derek Cornelius square in the face, and then Raskin and the rest of the team are having a bit of squabble with the Hibs players. You never really find out exactly what happened, but they're not taking it well. Hibs are good, but I think there's going to be hundreds of injury time here, and it's still going to be. Kind of cloth touching time. 5 minutes of injury time goes up just as Emi Fernandez comes on for Cornelius. Big Emmanuel Fernandez, who we only found out he'd been injured 7 days ago. The chairman announced it. But on he comes, and that meant Diomande, who was about to come on, I think, for Conor Barron, had to sit back down. Long way to go in this game, and almost just to prove it, Josh Campbell misses a sitter for Hibs. It was offside. I think it was offside when I saw the replays, but Max Aarons gets done far too easily out, and he gets far too tight to the fella out on our left hand side, our left wing. He does him to him like, don't go into, and the fella just turns him easily, goes down the wing, and he whips in an absolute killer of a ball. Really, the best cross all night, and Josh Campbell goes in for Hibs and headers it past from like 2 yards out. So I still feel as if it's a hard luck story incoming, and Ian Crocker's fate tempting is really getting to me. Keeps talking about Rangers are almost there. It looks like Rangers are now going to win this game. They're going to get that first clean sheet away from home since December of 2024. You're like, shut up, Crocker. 95th minute. Asgard knows what he's doing, but Gassama doesn't. They're down in that corner. The east stand and the away stand at the end that has Hibs fans in it. Asgard's keeping the ball, just knocking it about, but Gassama can't keep it in, which means this is just the clock striking 95 minutes. Hibs are going to get their obligatory after full time and into injury time free kick. We haven't lost here for almost 19 years in the top flight, but Christ, the number of later than late equalisers we've conceded, but all this was the opportunity for the Rangers defence to have the last say of the game. I think it might be Emi Fernandez who wins the header from the free kick that's launched into our box by the Hibs goalkeeper. And I think Max Aarons kind of gets a wee clearance at the edge of the box. He gets the last touch, and as he's touching it, Beaton has to blow for full time. And Max Aarons continues his touch, his turn, by turning at the east stand, the Hibs east stand, and getting it right up them, because obviously they've been, you should be thinking yourself lucky they're not chucking on the Eldorado bottles and that they were doing with the Buckfast bottles and that kind of stuff. We've won an away game. Defence, the 49ers Enterprises of their first away clean sheets. Danilo's kind of celebrating. There's a wee kind of, you never really get to see what's happening properly. David Gray's in there looking like a full mood. His post-match comments as well. I don't think we lost to the better team, Who did you lose to then? It was good stuff from Hibs. At least they weren't invading the pitch, the supporters, and trying to beat up our players. But that one was for Lee Wallace, and it was also for Danilo's dad, who was down the front of the Union Bears, and he's got the kind of Andy Cap figure that's depicted in front of the Union Bears regalia where he's giving it the double digits up to the police or whoever it's supposed to be, up to Celtic, up to anybody. They're just rebellious, and it's just the close up of Danilo's dad down the front of the away end, the away section, dancing away, singing his boy's name probably. He's got this massive get it up your finger right behind him. I think that's absolutely spot on. It was got. He only cost 6 million. Danilo only cost 6 million. None of that Chermiti. But Danny Röhl takes the Bears applause, but he keeps pointing, keeps turning to his players. You can't miss them. They're wearing this garish all orange kit, which really, I knew that I look at it, it's got this nice red and blue trim on the collar and the cuffs, a bit like the French Ligue 1 reigning champions used to have, or maybe still do have, and there's a kind of shadow pinstripe in it as well. It's all very. The vogue just now is retro, kind of early 80s, early to mid 80s stuff. It's actually a lot nicer than I thought, but Danny Röhl keeps pointing, they guys there, no, it's them. It's not about me. Danny Röhl, no, it's them. It was nice. Maybe celebrating too much or whatever, but I think you've got to really take on board these moments. Now these players know they can be dropped, and we're still going to win. But simultaneously, all our players know that there's a chance for them to get in the squad. They might rotate the squad. He doesn't think twice about chopping and changing things. We've got a squad. We've got a manager who's changing stuff up. I think Hibs. That's the first time Danny Röhl's won away from home competitively as Rangers manager. It's against Hibs. The first time Michael Beale won at home competitively as Rangers manager, it was against Hibs. The first time Philippe Clement, the first team he faced as Rangers manager, and he beat them 4-0, it was Hibs. So the fact that that's all happened in the space of 3 years, I get it, Rooney Hibs, that's fine, couldn't happen to a nicer club, but the fact that it's happened to so often, so recently, I can remember all these games off the top of my head, just proves that we've got a long way to go. We've got a long way to go before we get that stability we've been craving for so long. Sunday's going to be absolutely massive, but I feel as if we, bite the bullet. Whatever, it's not. There's still a bullet in there that's got to be removed, but it's that bit in the western or in the gangster film, whatever it is, where the guy's been shot, the hero's been shot, but he gets just that bit where he gets thrown out the kitchen table. And somebody throws some alcohol over the kitchen table quickly, chuck some hot water over it, get him on that kitchen table, big wooden kitchen table, and the stab wounds he's got and the bullet wounds, the bullet holes that are in him. Well, just get rid of the clay. The clothes that he's wearing are all full of holes, obviously, and covered in blood. So they rip them off him. But it's still a gory, bloody mess all over his guts and all that. So they throw. Is it alcohol or is it hot water to clear away all the gunge and the guts and the blood, so they can get a look at the wounds and where's the one that's actually got the bullet. You can stitch up the ones that are just stab wounds and whatever, but what's the one that's actually got the bullet in it? Because we've got to get in and get a look, and that's what we've done. We went third. We're third in the table. We're shooting up that league table. I think we're definitely going to avoid relegation now. I think, but maybe even kind of solidify we're top 6 place. But we're 5 points behind Celtic, 11 points behind Hearts, and we've got the two. They're the only 2 teams. It's like we're clearing away all the gunge and all the muck and all the. We've got rid of the other. I don't mean that I'm describing like Motherwell and St Mirren and Dundee United as gunge and muck, because they'll give us a game, and I'm still convinced that whoever wins Sunday's semi-final in the League Cup will lose on penalties in the final to the winners of Saturday's semi-final. But we've cleared the way. We can now get in about removing the bullet. We just know exactly what we're looking at now, and it's 5 points to Celtic and 11 points up to the Hearts, who nobody. I was just talking last night about the fact. It's really interesting, something to talk about, isn't it? Hearts. What if Hearts won the league? It's certainly a much nicer prospect than the thought of Celtic winning the league. I'm just trying to do historical kind of comparisons and how interesting it would be and blah blah blah. I got my revenge. I was talking about being at Ibrox the time Hearts actually threw away the league in the last day of the season because they were so far ahead of us, everybody else in Scotland. We could take a kind of side interest the day Souness and Walter Smith first co-managed Rangers. First turned up as a partnership at Ibrox to beat Motherwell 2-0 to ensure we qualified for the UEFA Cup. But I was in the Govan front that day, and once it was established that Rangers had won their game, he didn't have the phones then, and he tried to get a few folk all get the transistor radios, and it was like Celtic winning 4-0, 5-0 against St Mirren at Paisley, which they had to to have any chance of claiming the title, and Hearts, who only needed a draw to become champions for the first time since 1970. At that point, it was the first time in 26 years. They were 2-0 down. 2-0 to Dundee. They needed a goal, and it was 1-0 down. And then the news come through that Kidd had scored. We decided it was Walter Kidd who had equalised for Hearts. I remember being in the... It was just as we're leaving at the end of our game, I remember jumping down into the concourse of the Govan, giving it, yes! Hearts have just denied they bastards the league, that's fit. And it was Albert Kidd that scored a second goal for Dundee. So that was it. Celtic were definitely champions. But I get revenge for that one 19 years later when it was us that was denying Celtic. Just they were 1-0 up against Motherwell at Fir Park. You might know the story. It was Rangers winning 1-0 at Easter Road that caused a helicopter Sunday, and that was all the revenge anybody could need for that. So the grey outfield kit of 6 days ago, 6 nights ago, so depressing, is now Jack Butland's goalie kit, wee orange instead of the blue trim, but it's rejuvenated, revived, like me sitting looking at that kind of sunny western sky out to Jordan Hill, Dumbarton, Loch Lomond today, in that wee play park, sitting there. I was going to have a go in the swings, but I thought that'd be pushing it too much. But I just sitting there, it's absolutely glorious. And then because of the sun, it's a flight path. You can see the flight path. It goes across kind of. It must be Jordan Hill. The planes go across into Glasgow Airport, and because it's so sunny, but that low winter sun at the same time, there's a Boeing something is flying across the sky just above the roofs of the tenements that are directly in front of me, and I'm watching it. So it's just basically a shadow because the sun behind it is so bright, and it's flying. I'm watching it flying between the chimney stacks almost. It's miles away, obviously, but it looks like it's flying between the chimney. That's lovely, and it's flying towards the as they always do. From my house, my back door, I can see this flight path. And it's flying towards that big listed block of flats, a big listed building that you get. I can't remember the name of I can't remember what it's called again, but it's just at Morrison's, just at Anniesland Cross, and it looks like, because it's a big plane, but it's so far away, and you think, but it looks like it's going to fly right into the block of flats. And then I was thinking to myself, no, but actually, if you think about the kind of size difference there, I know it's different distances away, but really that if you amplified the size of the flats, it's like the size of they basically are the size of the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center compared to the planes that we're flying. It looks like it's going to fly right into it. You're like, oh Jesus, I need to. Just suddenly kind of a chill wind goes down the back there. There's always danger ahead. You've got to stay vigilant. You've got your kind of had your wee bit of rest to just get back to concentration, get back to planning for the future. The enemies are at the gate. We've done well versus Green and White this season. Panathinaikos, home and away. Hibs, home and away. Beat them home and away. Panathinaikos beat them at home. Drew away. We've beaten Hibs home and away now this season. Celtic, we've only played them once at Ibrox. We drew 0-0 when it suited both clubs. Champions League chumps both. That game in August, it was a damage limitation game. Both clubs in damage limitation mode, never mind both teams that day. We played them in the league, but this time, however, on Sunday, it's two clubs in revival mode, and we've revived before against Martin O'Neill's Celtic in a League Cup semi-final at Hampden. But wait a minute, next to your that's your manager's thing back there. What is that in your wallet just next to your manager's? Is that a Morrison's? It's a Morrison's More card. Why did you not tell me that, brother? Why did you not tell me Morrison's More card? But we'll have a wee meeting down Morrison Street next time. Where I wouldn't have kept you so long if I'd known you had that. But you can feel free to remove your unexpected item from the bagging area. You're kind of on the level as far as I'm concerned. A fellow Morrison's man. But you get an extra hour in bed last Sunday. You're going to have an hour less in bed this Sunday. We've done our grocery shopping. Look lively. Things have been really, really bad, really, really unfit this season, but the groceries in now. So now, yet again, it's time to eat more greens. Enjoy your Thursday trips. Let the madness commence again on Friday.